Even though January 15th is the actual birthday of Dr. King, who was born in the year 1929, today is the day that the nation pauses to celebrate his birth, but not just his birth, because had he just been born and done nothing, there would be nothing to celebrate. We celebrate his life and his ministry. He was a Black Baptist preacher and the son of a Black Baptist preacher. I do want to mention the personal relationship that I at least feel toward him, primarily because he was one of the inspirations for me attending Morehouse College. He graduated in 1948, and 15 years later, 1967, rather he was a freshman in 1948, and 15 years later, I was a freshman at Morehouse College, and then he graduated from Crozer Theological Seminary. 15 years after he graduated, I graduated from Crozer, and I followed his path in terms of education because of how he inspired me. I had an opportunity to meet him while a student at Morehouse, and because of my relationship to his friend and associate, Dr. Ralph Abernathy. There is a picture in my study that I prize and I treasure. It is a picture taken at about 1965. I think I was maybe a junior at Morehouse, and he came to the West Hunter Street Baptist Church in Atlanta to ordain one of the ministers and a classmate of mine at Morehouse. And of course I was at the ordination, and there was a picture that was taken, and I'm included in that picture, and that's a picture that I will always cherish. Another experience was with Dr. King's father, Martin Luther King Sr., who I invited to preach for Men's Day at Union Baptist in Elizabeth, my former church, in 1980. And to my surprise, I got a letter from his secretary saying that he would be happy to come. There's a picture that was taken that is also in my study. I have a room next to my study with a lot of pictures, and he is in the study, my study at Union, and I am kneeling beside him when that picture was taken, picture that I will also cherish. Also a bulletin that I have kept from a time that I visited Ebenezer Baptist Church on a Sunday morning when Dr. King preached. And I still have that bulletin in my possession. The title of the sermon is in the bulletin that Sunday. Why Evil Cannot Win is the title of that sermon. We're both members of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. We're both sons of preachers. We both majored in sociology at Morehouse, and on. But I think that the holiday cannot become a time just to recite some of his flowery speeches and talk about what a great man he was, because even people who hated him and who opposed him began to look upon him, a romanticized version of King, as if all he said was the speech on at the Lincoln Memorial, the I Have a Dream speech. And that was a great speech, but not one of his best speeches. If you want to know who King really was, there are other sermons and speeches that he gave that show the extent to which he was a fearless fighter for social justice. His letter from a Birmingham jail should be read. The sermon he preached at Riverside Church in New York not long before he died should be read, and other sermons that he preached. And his quotes, of course, we know well. He talked about being educated is not just about the intellect, but about character. And I think today his message is so relevant, given what we have gone through recently, at least actually over the past 4 years, the state of America today, the continuing fight for social justice. It seems as though that his fight for voting rights in the 60s is a fight that's still being fought here in a brand new century. And so, there's another picture also that I failed to mention. It's a picture, I think it was on the occasion my family went to my brother's graduation from Morehouse in 1979. No, it wasn't then. It wasn't then, but actually it was maybe in 1993 or 4, I want to say. And for some reason we were at Morehouse, and there's a picture taken of our youngest son Jesse with Mrs. Coretta Scott King, and that's a picture that we will also cherish as well. And so as we celebrate Dr. King's birthday, it means little if we don't devote ourselves to the cause of social justice, and not to just talk about it, but in places where we live and work and play, in our families, in our communities, we can make a difference. We can make a big difference.
So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the hiking Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.